Okay, recording is on. To repeat the agenda of today's session, I'll be showing some demonstrations on Terraform, writing Terraform modules, and the best practices we should follow in real time. Okay, and all of you might be knowing this. IT industry is little dull now. The screening is more. They are expecting highly skilled professionals now. Uh, in past 1 year, IT industry has done a lot of recruitment, lots of recruitment. Every company recruited hundreds, thousands of people. And what I see in IT market now is they're filtering, right? They're filtering, and if employees are not up to the mark, they are firing as well. Uh, I think all of you know about it. But anyways, what I suggest to everyone is uh, upskilling is the only solution. Okay, there are no shortcuts. Trust me, shortcuts will not keep you in top forever. Shortcuts probably can keep you or put you into jobs for weeks, months, not more than that. To have long, successful careers, I seriously advise you build your skills, right? So yeah, let us get started, guys. Um, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. For this session, I need to have Terraform, and I'll be using Visual Studio Code for developing the Terraform scripts and all that. First of all, Terraform is open source, as well as it has enterprise version. It has two versions, keep in mind. One is basic version and enterprise version. Enterprise version comes with a few additional features, and it is not free. And basically what we do using Terraform is we create, update, and maintain infrastructure, right? For example, I want to set up infrastructure for an application. I want to use compute. I want to use storage. I want to build networking, auto scaling, load balancers, right? So that infrastructure we automate using Terraform, and it is called infrastructure as code, IAC. Like Terraform, there are other tools like CloudFormation, that is AWS native service. It uses YAML or JSON syntaxes. There we describe the desired infrastructure state, and CloudFormation will make sure that desired state exists by creating resources or updating resources. All right, and Terraform is very popular. I have experience on CloudFormation and also Terraform, but I extensively used Terraform in my projects and in my freelancing projects as well. Okay, and I see more benefits in Terraform when compared with other tools. Even Azure today uses Terraform for infrastructure as code, GCP, because Terraform, the big advantage, it supports multiple cloud providers. For example, today you are working with Terraform and AWS Cloud. Maybe in future you happen to work with Azure or GCP. You don't have to learn this again because it's a common language which supports multiple cloud providers. I highly recommend mastering Terraform than other tools like CloudFormation. Azure also provides its native service, ARM templates, right? They call ARM templates. And even though cloud providers have their own native services, Terraform is ultimately popular and widely used tool in the market today. And one more suggestion I like to give. Um, See, there are people looking for help, support, and there are so many opportunities which are centrally based on Terraform. It has such a significant importance in cloud area. right? So now let us get started. Feel free to ask questions at any point of time. I'm happy to answer. Right. So what I do now, I open my terminal. Let us set up a brand new Terraform project. Let me cd into a specific folder, right? I call this IAC, cd into, please make it very interactive. I expect you guys to ask question. I will feel bored if I'm only talking and you're just listening. Uh, feel free to ask questions. Okay, so I'm creating a folder, and in this folder, I wanna build my Terraform code. And again, we are using Terraform to provision infrastructure. The best part of Terraform is you describe what you need. Let's say you need EC2, just describe it. You need S3, describe it. You need VPC subnets, describe it. Okay, so we follow a descriptive approach. We go and describe what we need, and Terraform takes care of how to get that. So that's the benefit of Terraform. See, administrators mainly. Developers, they love to code. I mean, Java guys, Python guys, .NET guys, their core functionality, otherwise their core skill is writing code. They like code. But when it comes to infrastructure, right, generally admins who are completely out of coding, these people manage infrastructure. For them, Terraform is ultimately a good tool because they don't have to write the code, they have to describe what is required, and Terraform takes care of how to get those resources. All right. So I have Terraform installed on my laptop. Let me get the version. It is also important to remember the version of Terraform because in interviews they ask which Terraform version are you using. So I'm using 1.4. To get list of all versions, please check Terraform documentation. Right, this is one thing. And second, we need AWS account for this. I have AWS account with me. Just a second. Let me open AWS console. Right. Hey, can you hear me well? Is there any uh, delay or is my voice breaking?
Yes. No,
So,
sir.
Yes, we can
It's
hear you.
it's clear.
Yeah,
Hear you clearly.
thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for confirming. Let us, yeah, AWS account is required. Terraform command line utility is required. Number three, permissions on AWS is also required in local. You guys know, do you guys know how to configure access to AWS? Do you guys know about it?
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yes. Yes. Sir. Yes.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. So
We know.
create user and configure programmatic access, associate appropriate policies, correct? Generate access keys and secret keys, configure those keys in local using AWS CLI. Let me check if access keys, secret keys are configured in local. See this, AWS STS get caller identity. This command STS stands for security token service. This particular operation on STS will tell what access you have locally. There is a typo, caller, I'm sorry, caller identity, and It will give the details, locally configured access keys and secret keys details. If you see, I'm using root access. And guys, you know, right? Using root access for day-to-day activities is not recommended. Don't consider this as a best practice. This is not a best practice. You must create admin user and use access keys, secret keys of that admin user. Don't use root access in day-to-day activities. That is highly, uh, I mean, um, bad approach. It's completely a bad approach. Don't do that. But this is my test account. I'm fine to go with access keys, secret keys of my root. And how you configure, just quickly, I will go through it. You say AWS configure, right? You must provide access key ID, secret key ID, and choose default region where you want to create your resources, or when you run commands, in which region it has to connect with. And default output format, just keep it none. It supports table, JSON. Likewise, JSON is the default one. So we have access key, secret keys. We also have AWS account and Terraform installed in my local. Next step is open Visual Studio Code. I believe all of you know what is Visual Studio Code. It is lightweight, popular IDE. Otherwise, it's a fancy editor. DevOps cloud people use Visual Studio Code a lot. For Java, people use Eclipse, Spring Tool Suite, and others. For Python, there is PyCharm. Likewise, for DevOps people, especially, and cloud people. So, cloud people mainly work on Terraform or CloudFormation, Python, right? In Boto 3, those things. Um, and coming to DevOps side, we write Jenkins files. We may deal with YAML documents in Docker, Kubernetes. So Visual Studio Code is the best editor for DevOps and cloud people. So I'm opening Visual Studio Code in this current location. Enter. So let us set up a brand new project. So can you tell me what I need to first set up to work with Terraform? Anybody?
Provider. Provider.
Yeah, we need to set up provider information. Terraform supports multiple cloud providers. Remember, it supports Amazon, Azure, GCP, DigitalOcean, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, VirtuStream. It supports almost all, about 20 plus providers. So we need to tell Terraform what is our cloud provider. So see here, I'm getting autocomplete. I'll also tell you how I get this autocomplete. Provider is AWS, of course. Provider takes arguments such as region, access keys, secret keys. So I configure region. I want to use US East 1. Remember, you also can configure access keys, secret keys here, but it is not good practice. Why? Because this code eventually goes into Git. So Git should not contain passwords, access keys, secret keys, and API tokens, SSL certificates. Those things should not go into Git as a plain text, right? That's the reason I'm not configuring access keys, secret keys here. That's already configured on my laptop using AWS CLI, right? So once you have provider information, the next information we need to configure is state file. So by default, state file sits in local. So state file is where the resource information is stored by Terraform. I mean, if we create EC2 instance using Terraform, EC2 instance details is stored in a state file, right? And it is like a memory. It's like a brain for a human being. State file is very important. And we should not touch state file. State file is completely managed by Terraform. It creates that file, it updates the file, and it is not meant for us. We should be careful. We should not make changes directly into state file, not at all recommended. Okay, so once we have provider details, let us initialize this project. Terraform init. So Terraform init, it downloads provider plugins. We are using AWS provider. It downloads AWS provider plugins so that it works with AWS cloud. Perfect. Right? The project got initialized. What next? See, part of our demo, I want to build two modules. First one is networking module and second one is EC2 module. See here, the primary focus is how to build modules at the same time. The best practices we should follow while working with Terraform. See, inexperienced people or a beginners in Terraform, they do not know best practices. Yeah, everyone writes code. I write code, you write code. Let's say you are a entry level engineer, the way you write code is different. Let's say I am well experienced, the way I write code is different. Correct. So that's what the main focus in today's session. So now I want to build everything as a module. In real time, remember, everything is created as a module. You create S3, that should be created as a module. You create SQS, that should be created as a module. Each and everything has to be created as a module. Right. So I'm going to create a structure. See here, I would like to create a folder. Right click, new folder. I want to call this modules. Name can be anything. Here it can be ABC, XYZ, anything. But again, having relevant names, meaningful names are always important. And also following conventions, very important in real time. So modules means inside this folder, I'm going to have modules for the resources I'm going to use in my project. Like I said, I want to first build networking module. So under modules, again, I want to create a folder. Let's call this networking. Again, names your choice, but try to follow convention. Try to follow best practices. Only then a real experience reflects in you. I mean, if I join a company and if I totally ignore best practices, anybody seeing my code will understand I don't have experience in that. That's the reason I'm stressing again and again about what is that best practices, right? See, modules inside modules, networking. Now, networking means what we need, sir. Come on. So, what is required?
VPC subnet
Inbound, outbound,
security group.
Those things, yeah. So,
Yeah.
port number.
go to networking, right click. I'm creating a new file, and also remember Terraform scripts should should have extension of .tf, but file names can be anything. Correct, it works, technically it works, but again, best practices should be followed. I use main.tf. The main resources for this module should go into main.tf. Right. What's the first resource we should create for setting up networking? Ultimately, VPC. So inside modules, under that networking, inside that main.tf, there I am writing the first module, that is, I'm creating the first resource, that is AWS underscore VPC, right? And coming to the name, just keep some name. Why? Because module means reusable code. The module I'm creating here can be reused by me in the same project or you in the same project. We can keep modules in central places like Git or source code repositories, and it can be reused. Right, so resource, VPC, name, logical name of the resource, and what arguments we should pass to VPC.
Cider block.
Cider block. Now, should I hard code this or I should make it a variable?
Variable.
If I do like this, what happens? My module is almost useless, right? My module always uses this cider block. No, I want the caller to decide what cider block this guy, they need. So I should not hard code like this. So what do you suggest for this?
To maintain the variables in a separate file, and we
Correct.
can keep variables there and
We have to call it.
Correct. So where I should create variables in the same module, networking module, right click, new file. What name you suggest for variables?
VARs.
Variable.tf. And variable, name of the variable, I call this VPC cider. If you wish, you can have default value. Default value can be changed by the caller. Let me give 10 0 0 0 16. And coming to this, what I should, how do I refer variable? Var dot variable name. What else we generally take for VPC?
Subnet.
No. While creating VPC, what arguments we pass?
Associations, public ID, something.
We can have tags.
Tenant.
Tags.
So what do you say? Tags, you want a hard code, or again, you want this to be a variable?
Variable.
Better to have it as a variable. Why? Because tags we use in our project is different, and tags others use in their project is different. Obviously, it has to be a variable. Var dot, I call this VPC tags, and go to variables, VPC tags. See the convention here. I'm calling cider representing single value, and here I'm calling tags which is representing multiple values. That convention is also important. Don't make it ciders, but you're still taking one value. This works, but convention wise this is not correct. So here tags is a map contains key and value. Just I will have a default name, default key and default value. I call this like JHC seminar, which is Java Home Cloud seminar. Tenancy, let me leave. So will this create VPC? Of course, it creates VPC. Now, how do we call this? Where do we call this? We call this module in the project root. So in the project root, have main.tf. Don't confuse, please. Module has main.tf and the main project has main.tf. Please be cautious about that. We have two main files. One is module level, other one is project level. So this one I'm writing, it is at project level. Right? So to call a module, you must use module. name of the module. I call this seminar VPC. You can call anything you wish, but name it according to the use case for what you're using it, and try to name with that. So module, name of the module, and source. Where is the code for this VPC module? Current folder. See, dot slash modules slash networking. This piece of code is calling a module. The module is networking, and inside networking, just a second, we have a resource and couple of variables. It takes two variables. While calling, if I don't pass any of them, it uses default value. If I pass my own, it takes my own value. Let's say I want to override VPC cider. Here you can say VPC cider equals 10 200 0 0 16. Default is something different, right? Default is 10 0 0 0 16, but while I am calling it, I'm giving my own. Likewise, if you wish to change tags, that also possible. You can change it. Perfect. So main, we're calling a module, and we're just giving logical name for the module and the source code for the module, followed by the arguments you want to pass to that module. All right. See, I'm getting some colorful stuff. Module is highlighted in a different color. And when I type something, you see auto complete. I mean, see, if I type RE, this resource which is automatically coming here, that's called autocomplete. So how am I getting that? So Visual Studio Code supports extensions. Click on this box, this one, left hand side, right? Go to extensions and search for Terraform extensions. You'll find many extensions. FORM. You'll find many extensions. Out of it, pick up the best one. I always go with extension which was downloaded more. That is how I choose. So here HashiCorp Terraform is the extension I'm using. That is giving me the colorful stuff, autocomplete, and other things. All right. So coming back to the code, we are calling this module. If I execute this module, what happens? What resources are created? It creates VPC. See this. When you call a new module, Terraform init is required. Let me simply say Terraform Apply auto approve. What it says, module not initialized, and Terraform init is required. Copy and execute that. Perfect. Init is not required always. Init is required when you have a new module, when you configure remote backend, or when you change configurations to remote backend. Such times it is required. Yeah. Otherwise, you can do Terraform Apply. Terraform Apply will take code from current folder and create resources accordingly. Right now, see, it is creating VPC, and see the argument. This argument is passed by us while calling a module. Any questions here?
That if we are not passing the argument, it will take the default one which we have given previously, right?
Yes, if you don't pass arguments, default value will go.
And one more query, sir. We are calling these variables, right? I have find that some people use interpolation while calling the variables. Is it mandatory?
Okay, let me explain you. Your question is
Yeah.
this one. See,
Yeah.
sometimes we use double quotes, dollar, open close curly brace, and like this. This is older syntax. See, calling with interpolation is older syntax. In later version of Terraform, they simplified it like this. No codes required, no interpolations required. You can directly say where dot variable name. The interpolations you see, right, that is legacy one, not the latest one.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So we have written a small module, very small, very simple module, and we are, what is that? Calling that module. Is our module good enough? No. So generally, networking means it should deal with public subnets, private subnets, and in public subnets, internet gateways should be there. For private subnets, NAT gateways should be there. So let us go ahead and finish those remaining resources. So we have VPC, perfect. Create public subnets. Which resource we use for creating subnets? Resource AWS underscore subnet, right? And give a name. I call this public because I want this subnet to be public. Now, how many subnets we should create for public? What is recommended? 1, 2, 3. What is
One,
recommended? Please come on. You can
one, one,
One.
minimum
one.
2 is required, right? If you go with 1, your application won't have high availability. So no, minimum 2 is required. Okay, how to create multiple resources? Is there a way to create multiple resources in Terraform? One way is write this 2 times, public 1, public 2, and if you want 3, again write one more, public 3. So is there best way to do this? Yes, Terraform supports loop, correct?
Loop.
You can either use count and say
Count.
that creates 2 resources of this type, or in later versions there is also for each. So I go with count in this case. Count equals 2, and I don't want to hard code 2. Why? Because if I hard code 2, always it creates only 2 subnets. But if I want this module to be reusable, I may need 2, you may need 3, someone else may need n. So tell me what I should do for this. Add a
Variables.
variable, subnet,
So,
count, default.
default.
Let's make it 2, but while calling, you can override this. Go to main, var dot subnet count. So what other arguments we need for subnet? Let's do one thing. Coding means not about writing it without seeing documentation. See, remember, coding means we should keep documentation side by and write code. That is how I used to write Java code in my past days, and that is how I write Boto3 code and Terraform code as well. I don't have to remember everything. See how I do it. Terraform subnet. Here, second link, AWS underscore subnet, click on this. To use subnet, go to its documentation. Resources take inputs, we call them arguments, and it also returns outputs, we call them attributes. It's giving example usage, VPC ID, CIDR block, and if you scroll down, see this, argument reference means it supports following arguments. If you want to specify availability zone, yes. If you want to specify CIDR block, like map public IP on launch means by enabling this, what happens? Any instance launched into this subnet gets public IP by default. Let us take this as a reference and let's code the subnet one. It also requires VPC ID. How do we get VPC ID? Where is it? The above resource is a VPC. How to get its ID? AWS underscore main dot ID. That returns ID of this resource. Then what is next one? CIDR block. Same. Let's call this where dot pub underscore CIDR. See the naming convention. I'm calling it CIDRs. Means it's going to contain multiple values. Why? Because we are creating multiple resources. Now, before finishing off this code, let's go and define this variable. Go to variables, variable pub CIDRs. Let's have a default value. No. Let me take 24. Let that be 0 and let this be 1 and 24. See, there are functions in Terraform which can generate CIDR blocks automatically without need of this variable. But if I introduce that, uh, maybe you will confuse. That's the reason I'm going with this approach. And still, I want to stick my focus on modules. Pub CIDRs, go to main. Here, of course, where dot pub CIDRs. I mean, one idea. Here, we are calling count 2 and we are maintaining two values in this CIDR. See, I want to remove this and I want to take count of this variable as a subnet count. Is that a good idea? I can eliminate one variable completely. Definitely that is good idea, right? So I can get this value without maintaining this variable. I can get the count of this pub CIDRs and use it. Yes or no? Yes. So I want to remove this variable and sorry, here in place of subnet count, there is length function in Terraform. It takes list as a argument, returns number of elements in that list. What it returns now? 2. Why? Default value contains two values. If caller is passing three values and count becomes 3, that is absolutely dynamic. Followed by, let us fix this one now. Right now, this variable having two values, it is going to create two resources, correct? And first subnet should get a different CIDR block and second one should get a different CIDR block. So this is pointing to a list of CIDR blocks, but we need only one. See how I handle this? Use that square braces count dot index. Count is meta argument. It has index property that returns current index. I mean, while creating first subnet, this gives 0, picks first element in the list. While creating second subnet, count.index gives 1 and it picks the second value from the list. Any questions? Any, any questions, guys?
No, sir.
No,
No, sir. No, sir.
yeah, perfect. So let's do
Hari, one question.
please. Yeah.
In the VPC ID, you are calling AWS underscore VPC.main.id, right?
Correct.
How we know that we are getting direct ID only?
Okay.
Means if we don't know that thing.
Yeah, definitely I will help you. Yeah, I'm unable to see who all joined from my screen. Just a second. Can someone tell me how many joined? How many?
74.
75.
Yeah.
75.
Okay.
76.
Thank you for that
Now
confirmation.
76.
Yeah, I'm using GoToMeeting first time. Don't mind. I usually use this, Zoom meetings. Okay, that's the reason I'm a bit not familiar how to handle these controls. Thank you for giving that info. Yeah, one thing I want to do. See, I want to format my code in a proper manner. Go to terminal. Go to modules, networking. See, inside networking, I have two files, main.tf, variables.tf. This is useful command. Terraform fmt. Uh, See, I'm formatting. After formatting, you see this, it is neatly aligned. Can you see this equals? It is in same line, right? So it aligns the code beautifully. That's fine. Now, we are creating two subnets in this case. And I also want to fix availability zone. See, if you don't tell availability zone explicitly, two subnets may go and create in same availability zone, and there is no use of it because we need two different availability zones to maintain high availability for applications. That's the reason I would like to set up availability zone as well. So, okay, sorry, there was a question, how I know it is ID. Let me first explain that, then let us move on to availability zones. Okay, to answer this question, how do I know it is ID? Why not VPC ID? Something like that. That's a question, right? How I know it is
Yeah,
ID?
correct.
Go to this VPC resource, okay, and check what inputs it take and what outputs it return. There you'll find ID is the name for getting VPC ID. Let me show. Terraform VPC. Huh. I told you, right? Resource takes inputs, we call them arguments, and it returns outputs, we call them attributes. See, right hand side, this link is argument reference, and the next link is attributes reference. Click on that. And what is this? ID, which means to get VPC ID, the name of the attribute is ID. This is how you find it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And one more for this, do we need to maintain this output.tf also? Is it required, or like this we can directly seeing the documentation, we can directly call it like that?
I'll come.
Which one is best way?
No. See, outputs.tf is required for a different scenario, not in this scenario.
Ah,
That also we will
okay.
see. Once I progress with the code,
Okay.
we will see the usage of outputs as well. Yeah, first let me fix the availability zone for my subnet and where to find arguments reference, right? Availability zone. To specify availability zone, it is availability zone. To specify availability zone ID, the second one. So I don't want to specify zone ID, I want to specify zone name here, availability zone. So how to get this one? One way of getting availability zone is, again, go to provider. We are in US East 1 and go to your module main again. In the variables, one way is variable AZs default like 1A. This is one approach. 1A, 1B, 1C likewise. This is one approach. The other approach is use data sources in Terraform. So don't go with variables, not recommended, because we have a direct way of getting it. Go with data sources. The advantage with data sources, it dynamically gets availability zone names. I mean, right now we are working with US East 1, right? If I change this to AP South 1, it automatically gets availability zones in AP South 1. That's the advantage of going with data source. In Terraform, data source is used to fetch data which is not present within within Terraform. I'm sorry, within Terraform. So it gets data which is present outside Terraform. So now the need of data source. Any suggestion what I should do, where I should define it? Should I create separate file or should I put it in main variables? What do you suggest?
Separate file.
Exactly. Data dot
Data.
tf. So data, right? AWS underscore availability zones. Remember, availability zones, logical name, keep anything you like. Correct. So this is about defining data source. This data source contains availability zone details. From this data source, I want to get its information. Remember this. First, define it. Only then data comes into your code. From that, use it and create your resources. This is only declaration. I want to use this data in main, where availability zone. How? Like this. To access data, see that? Data dot. Type of data dot. Its logical name dot. Names. This returns list of names. Again, if you ask me why names, where to check, go and check in this one. Go to browser, Terraform, availability zone names, data source. Click on this. So here, check on attribute reference, name. See that? That's what I'm using here. Names, giving me list of availability zone names. But I don't need entire list. I need a single value for first subnet and next value for second subnet. So obviously count dot index means let's say in US East 1 there are 6 AZs. This gives us 6 values, and according to CIDR blocks for public we have 2 values. It has to create 2 subnets, and it's going to use count dot index 0 first time and 1 second time. So it's going to use 2 different availability zones. Any questions on this? Plus you can have tags. You would like to have var dot, like you can have a public variable with public subnet tags, or let me do this differently. Tags name equals public means it creates 2 subnets. Both names will be public and public. What if I need public 1, public 2? Yes, that's also possible. So here we use interpolation count dot index. So in this case, if you notice, I'm using interpolation. The main reason is we have partially text followed by dynamic value. In such cases only we use interpolation. And in this case, there is no partial text. Everything is just a function. So if you have some static text plus you want dynamic stuff followed by static text, then we should use interpolations. So count dot index. So count dot index begins with 0. So it will be like public 0, public 1. Let's say I don't want public 0, public 1. I want it as public 1 and public 2. You can use plus 1. What happens now? Index, count index begins with 0, 0 plus 1, 1. For second subnet, 1 plus 1, 2. That's how it works. Hold on. Let's go and execute and see what happens to this. Where are we right now? We are inside modules, but to execute code, you must come to the project root. cd dot dot, cd dot dot, and see I'm in project root. So let us try plan first, because plan will tell the changes it's going to make. VPC is already created. So our expectation is it has to create 2 resources, that is 2 subnets. See here, 2 to add. And check 10.0.0 and availability zone is US East 1A and other one is US East 1B and 10.0.1. Perfect, right? And also check tags public 1 and for second subnet it is public 2. It looks fine for me. Let us apply. What is it saying? Okay, 10.0.1 is invalid. So it is giving exception. And if you see, the exception is inside main.tf under networking, line number 7. I'll fix it, no problems. So let's go to main. See, I'm changing here. I'm giving 10.200 as a VPC CIDR. So when I change VPC CIDR, accordingly, I should change subnet CIDRs also. Yes or no? Yeah, otherwise VPC CIDR is different range and subnet CIDRs are different range. To fix this problem, what I need to do is I need to pass this here. So either don't pass VPC CIDR and subnet CIDRs, it will work. If you're giving VPC CIDR, make sure you're also giving public subnet CIDRs as well. According to this, it has to be 10.200.00, 10.200.10. This will work. Huh. It's created. But still the module is incomplete, right? Is it really public or just by name public? It is just by name public. How do you make a subnet public? Technically, tell me what you should do to make a subnet public.
In Docker, we need to add a gateway.
Create IGW.
Correct? So add a gateway. Yeah, internet gateway. You can just call it main, and you must specify VPC ID, right? AWS underscore main dot ID. What next? Where I should configure this? Route table. So let me create a separate route table for public subnets. Create a table for public subnets. Shall I speed up a little bit?
Suppose.
Route table. See that? Route table. Better do a copy paste work. That is the advantage of code, right? Terraform route table. Click on this. Yeah, copy this entire code, replace here. Let me call this public. Here, for internet gateways, we usually configure all zeros, right? 0, 0, I'm sorry, 0, 0, 0, 0. And gateway ID, this is a gateway ID, not example, it should be main dot ID. So this is not required. This is not required. I call this public router. Now, route table is created and a route with internet gateway is added. That's also fine. The next one is association. Correct. Route table should be associated with public subnet. Otherwise, public subnet will not have this route table. I'm creating route table. I'm configuring internet gateway, but if it is not used, then still subnets won't become public. What is next one? Associate.
Need to change that example.
Sorry, come again.
VPC ID.
Ah,
Need to change the VPC ID as example.
it should be main, correct. Main dot ID. Associate route table with, yeah, can you stay on mute? There's some background noise. Associate route table with, can you please stay on mute? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, associate route table with public subnets. Yeah, there is a resource for subnet association. Terraform route table association. Get that? See this. The code is this. I want to associate with subnets. I call this main or public subnet ID, route table ID. So first let me fix route table ID. Here it is, public. Now coming to subnet ID, I need your attention here. How to get subnet ID? AWS underscore subnet. Okay. Name is public. Okay. Dot ID. Remember, if it is single resource, this is valid. But in our case, subnet is not single resource. We are using count. It's going to create multiple resources. In that case, you must use dot star dot ID. Remember, this gives entire list of subnet IDs. From that, any guess? Count dot index. But we are going to associate multiple subnets. So, oh, I'm sorry. It should have count. How to get this count? Can I use the same logic I used for creating subnets? Of course. It gives 2, and from the list of public subnet IDs, first we get first one, and for second association we get the second one. Now go ahead and do Terraform apply. If our code works well, the subnet association also should happen successfully. Any questions so far? Perfect. We created public subnets. Those public subnets are associated with public route table. That route table has internet gateway configuration. Any questions so far?
Sir, I have question in modules main main.af.
No, in this. Let us finish this one first. So whatever
Okay.
changes I made right now, in that, any questions you have? Right. If no, now you can tell what questions you have in the main.
So here we are passing cider. If we want to change the cider, we can pass here the value, right?
Correct.
So if we are using like variable vars.tf, there also we are passing in runtime the cider changes and all, right? What is the use of here we are giving and giving there?
Okay. See, now let us think little bit beyond. I mean, assume we are maintaining 3 environments: dev, stage, prod. And cider blocks for dev is different, staging is different, production is different. Then hard coding is not good idea. Correct. Then you maintain dev.tfvars and its values, stage.tfvars its values. Correct. And prod.tfvars
Yes.
its values. You got it?
Uh, yes, sir. Then that time, if we are using like vars.tf, we should not able to hard code here, right?
Yeah, no need to hard code here. But right now this is fine. See, going forward,
Okay.
if
Okay.
we decide to have multiple environments, in multiple
Hmm.
environments, we always wish to have different cider blocks. Then we need to
Hmm.
have 3 different TFVARs.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Sir,
yeah, please.
then how will we call those values if we have different environments?
Mhm. Yeah,
Then
simple.
how will we pick?
Yeah, I can show you right now. See, like module has variables, right? Your main project also can have variables, right? Let me say, let me take one variable, that's all. Let me take VPC cider, okay? Like this. And in the code, I'm sorry. In the code, var.vpc cider. And if you want to change at the runtime, it will be like var file equals dev.tfvars. This is to provision dev environment. If you're provisioning stage environment, stage.tfvars. If you're provisioning prod environment, prod.tfvars. To maintain multiple environments, we use workspaces. So every workspace will have its own state file. Code will be same. See, source code will be same. We want to maintain 3 different environments like this, like this. We need 3 different state files: state file 1, state file 2, state file 3. That is created with help of workspaces. That will go beyond our today's seminar. So better let us continue with our seminar. If time permits, in the end I can talk about this. Fine, right? Yeah. Mm, yeah. So we are almost good in terms of uh, networking module. So let me extend this and create private subnets. Guide me. I copy this, I paste it. I call this private subnets. So we need to have private siders. Let's go with see 0, 1. Let's go with 2 and 3. So here private siders, here also private siders, and remaining looks okay. This also make it private. See, to keep
Resource name also. Resource
yeah,
is public.
private. See, to keep things simple, I will not pass these things. Let's go with default variable so that we can focus on concepts well. So because I'm changing cider blocks, it has to recreate, of course.
Sir, can you give short introduction on workspaces?
Yeah, I will definitely. But let us first finish our
Sure,
seminar content. I have time. Don't worry. Uh, I can help you with that. So before closing seminar, I will explain and close. Nothing to worry. It's taking time because it's recreating almost all resources. Yeah, it's taking so much time, but that's fine. Let that take. But meanwhile, we can continue with our code. See, to finish networking module, I need to set up NAT gateway. So I'm leaving that part. Why? Because NAT gateway is not free in free tier, but it's not tough as well, right? Just go and define a resource for NAT gateway and accordingly configure the route table. In the route table, here point to that NAT gateway. Very simple. So I'm assuming we're done with networking module. Now networking module is ready. If I need one more VPC, public subnets, private subnets, what I do now? Do I create again subnets? Uh, I mean VPCs, all that? No, not required. That's the power of module. So if I need a separate module, let's say this is for my second application, I call second VPC and I call my code. See the simplicity. We write module once and anytime you need it, just call it. And if you don't like default values, change it. And keep in mind, at a time, you can't build uh, a best module. See, modules will mature when it is used. So the approach should be initially create a module which is required for the current requirement. When requirements change, you can change the module and you can improvise the module. I repeat again, straight away, don't focus on writing highly flexible best module. If you do so, it will confuse you. First, focus on a module and try to put minimum required things right now into the module. And over time, it can be modified. Oh, I'm sorry. This we don't need. Don't worry. Let me do apply. Fine. Getting my point, right? If you need second VPC, just copy, paste. That's it. Fine. We have one module. We will finish this by creating second module. The second module I want to build is EC2 instance. So in a project, if we need EC2 instance, just call this module. That's what I need. So under modules, click yes, please. EC2. And inside EC2, what should be the file names? Main.tf. And what should be the resource? Resource AWS underscore instance, right? May call this main. What details EC2 instance require? AMI, obviously make this as variable. What else? Instance type, again make that as a variable. What else, sir? Subnet, of course, subnet. How do you get subnet? This is interesting now. Subnet is, I mean, if it is in same module, we can just point to that resource and get its ID. But subnet IDs are present in networking module and we need that in EC2 instance module. This is very important topic. In interviews, they ask about this. How do you use values present in one module in another module? I'll explain. Right. But for now, let us make it a variable where dot subnet ID. So I can add more. I can add user data. I can add security groups, but I'm not focusing on that. So my focus is again how to deal with modules. We need three variables: AMI ID, instance type, subnet ID. So under EC2, new file, variables.tf. we are using 3. AMI ID, subnet ID, instance type. So instance type, let us have default value, that is T2 micro. See, use default values if and only if that value works always. Yes, T2 micro works in any VPC, any subnet, any availability zone, any region, obviously. But subnet IDs, not like that. So I'm not giving any default values. Even AMI ID, I'm not giving default values. I'm forcing the caller to provide AMI ID. Please, can you be on mute? I'm not sure who is unmuted. Please be on mute. We're getting some background noise. Fine, thank you. And in the main, we should we should call a module. This is my EC2, and this should be modules slash EC2. Hey, I don't know who is that. Can you please check your microphones and stay on mute? Yeah, so we are pointing to new module. Oh, this is still happening. Okay, no problems. There are two mandatory variables for this module. What is that? AMI ID, subnet ID. Well,
సాయంత్రం ఆగల పచ్చములో
AMI ID, I'll get that for you. Subnet ID, I'll also get this for you. See, for time being, AMI ID, I will get it from my account A. I don't know who is that. Can you please give my
మ్యూట్ ఆగమాటికి
Can someone check the name of the person who is?
Amar. Amar, can you please mute? Amar.
I'm not getting all the controls, otherwise I should have. One second.
He muted now.
Sorry, it was yeah, my phone was hanged. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. No problem. You can see my screen, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
See, I want to pick up AMI ID from the dashboard. Let us randomly select one instance in the account. See, I copy this. You guys know, right? AMI ID is specific to region. Means AMI ID I'm copying here will work only for North Virginia. You know about it, I think. Yeah. So here, AMI ID. Now tell me how I should get subnet ID. Where is that subnet ID? It is in the first module. So how to get that in a first module and use it in second module? That's where output comes into picture. See, while building VPC, you must return VPC ID, public subnet IDs, private subnet IDs. Only then others can use it. See, this is the case where subnet ID is required. So go to networking module, add a file, outputs.tf, specify output. It is good to return VPC ID value equals dot ID. Likewise, it is good to return public subnet IDs and private subnet IDs. So pub sub IDs. How do you get this? AWS. See, subnet public dot star dot ID. It returns list of public subnet IDs. Likewise, it has to be private subnet IDs like this. You got it right? This module, like resource takes arguments, returns attributes. Modules also takes arguments and returns attributes. Networking module is returning 3 outputs. Later, if you want to change or include some more, you can do that. So right now, I want to return VPC ID, public subnet IDs, private subnet IDs. Now come to the main. So this is returning back IDs. To get that, module dot name of the module dot let's say I want this instance to be in public subnet of 0. So it's giving me list of public subnets. 0 means first public subnet. Okay, what happened to this? Dependency violation. Let me try from here. I don't know what dependency it has. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah. Suddenly, okay. Bear with me today. Yeah. So VPCs JHC seminar. Let me delete from here. Yeah, better. Now let's do Terraform init because we are using second one. Terraform apply. Let that process happen in the background. So any questions on this now? So you can improvise EC2 module, no doubt about it, because we're just creating instance. See, a module is not able to take security group. Those things definitely can be included. So again, if I wanna cover remaining best practices, I need to probably take 30 more minutes. So far, I think this is what I want to cover part of the seminar. A few changes let me make. And if you see here, these expressions, we are using these expressions in several places. For public, for private, and in output also, we are using those expressions. So it is a good candidate for local variables. So define locals.tf locals pub sub IDs equals this is a good idea. Private subnet IDs equals private dot IDs, and here sorry. So replace this one with local IDs. In the outputs also, this is for no, not private, public, and this one local dot private subnet IDs. So I'm introducing local variables. When you have expression like this, which is used repeatedly over and over in the code, make it as a local variable, assign that to a simple variable like this, and access. There's one more I want to define inside local variables. That is, see this one, data sources. This also I want to define in a local AZs or AZs, right? Like this. Then while using local dot AZs count dot index. So this is how we should deal with. Keep in mind, anything you introduce, let's say you want to deploy Lambda function, you must write it as a module with the name Lambda function. You want to create S3 bucket, write it as a module. You want to create RDS instances, module. ALBs, module. Route 53, module. Everything should be a module in real time. No one writes code directly without module in real time. In trainings, yes, they teach you without modules, but in real time, everything should be a module. And one more. So when you join any project, initial days, you must try to figure out how the team is working, what is the process, and understanding its tools, getting access, and also understanding the conventions they are following, naming conventions. These things are important when you get jobs. And to close the seminar, workspaces. I'll close this seminar by explaining workspaces. See, right now we have single stack. Single stack means only one environment. If you wish to have multiple environments, means source code is same. Say this. Say this. Suppose this is Terraform code, like modules, everything. We have single code base, but we want to maintain three environments: dev, stage, and prod. Code base is one. We want to maintain three environments, and we need three state files, correct? I mean, dev subnets are different, stage subnets are different, production subnets are different. Obviously, we need three different state files. To maintain three different state files, we need to create workspaces. Means one workspace for dev, one workspace for stage, one more workspace for prod. So that state file in dev will manage dev resources, state file in stage manage stage resources, and state file in prod manage production resources. So how to, or maybe my account is blocked due to non-payment. That's okay, leave it, not a big problem. Luckily we finished it before the account got blocked. Terraform workspace new dev. This creates a folder. In that folder, one state file is maintained that is responsible for managing dev resources. Likewise, you create stage. This creates a folder and a state file inside this folder and that manages resources in stage, and likewise prod. That is about workspaces in Terraform. If you need, if you need, what is that? More information on workspaces, you can check Java Home Cloud channel. You'll find it. And do follow our Instagram page. Just a second. We'll be posting some resources into this. Okay. So please take this, follow us here. Coming to YouTube, it is Java Home Cloud. This is our channel. In this channel, we have a video on workspaces. So that's all from my side, and I appreciate all of you for joining this seminar. We are conducting seminars, free seminars regularly, and if you know already, we are into training like DevOps Cloud, Java, so data science. These are our core technologies we teach in our training institute, right? Um, so in future, if you have references, someone wants to learn the courses I listed, please refer us. And our website is this, javahome.in. This is our website. Yeah, do the needful. So any questions for me?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir, how do we use public modules if we want already inbuilt?
Public, what do you mean by public module?
Or else private registry modules which is already defined if we want to use that.
Okay, see, in our example, modules are in the project itself, right? It is local modules. In the project itself, we have modules and its code. This is local. Your modules can be in GitHub repository. Then source should be URL of Git repository. Now the module comes from Git, not from your local. Terraform module Git, yeah. GitHub source. Must be like this. GitHub.com. This must be your repository, okay? Git at github.com, your GitHub account name, and the repository. Okay, next week, we are conducting one more seminar that is going to be CI/CD using GitLab. I will be posting that information in our WhatsApp group. I believe all of you are in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll be posting the information in that group next week. CI/CD with GitLab. So GitLab is becoming popular nowadays. Earlier we used to have just Jenkins, but now the trend is different. Slowly, GitLab is emerging, Bitbucket is emerging, uh, GitHub Actions. I don't know how many of you heard about it. GitHub Actions is emerging. There are a lot of new tools coming into the market. So we'll have a seminar, free seminar next week. Mostly it is Saturday on GitLab. So I'll be posting that information in the group. Any questions?
Sir, I do have one more question, sir.
Please.
So, sir, in it, we will define these security groups, right, sir? So, if we take like database security groups are different, and like web application security groups are different, correct?
No, no,
So where we need to define.
one second. Sorry to interrupt. Security groups are same, but we use it in load balancers, EC2 instances, Lambda functions, and databases. Only in
Okay.
rules will change, right? We don't have separate security groups for databases. Security group concept is one.
Yes, yes, of course. But you see, if here in modules, we will define separate security group for module, security group as a module, correct?
No, no, no. 1 second. Okay, okay. 1 second. In this case, right, two options you have. One option,
Mm.
make security group resource inside EC2, or
Okay.
create security group as a separate module and call it here. Either one is fine.
Okay, if we define security group as a separate module, if we call that module in EC3, in that security group, we will give many ingress rules. Like for MySQL separate and EC2 instance SSH separate. Likewise, we'll give a different, correct? So if we call in different resources, how it will know like which rule it will take?
1 second. See, I will not show that fully, but I can just give idea so that you can build on top of it. See, resource security group. Yeah. 1 second. Hey, please subscribe to the channel as well as follow our Instagram page. Yeah, thank you for that. 1 second, let me come to this AWS security group. 1 second. Terraform security group. Okay. No, I'm sorry, not rule. There are two resources. Be careful. Security group is the resource, and rule also can be a resource. Yeah. Let us take this entire code. Yeah, entire code. Keep it here. Name it main. And name of the security group, description, the VPC ID where the security group should belong to, right? The ingress may change. Correct. Means I may want to set 2 rules. You may want to set 3 rules. Someone else may want to set 4 rules. So Terraform has dynamic block concept. You can check this also in our channel, YouTube channel. You can check Terraform dynamic block in Java Home Cloud channel. There is a video on this topic. Okay. Yeah. So dynamic ingress, and this can be looped with for each. I mean, you can have list of rules and dynamically generate multiple ingress blocks. Maybe one for 443, one for 80, one for 22, likewise, and define this as a variable. So when this becomes a variable, you know now, I can call this by giving one value, it creates one ingress rule. You can call this by giving 2 values, it creates 2 ingress rules. 3 ingress rule. That way it becomes dynamic. So previously this feature was not there. There was no way to dynamically build ingress rules, but Terraform, understanding the limitation, they introduced dynamic blocks. So for each is to create multiple resources, and dynamic block is to create multiple blocks inside the resource.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
And thank you. I'm done. Thank you so much for your valuable time. I hope the session was informative.
Sir, one more last question, sir. Sir, AMI ID we have hard coded from EC2 instance, right, sir? So if we define that in data.tf, like directly from AWS console.
Mm-hmm. You can do that.
It is a region specific also, correct? So if we define, it will only automatically take the region which we want, or we need to give the region there.
No. I'll tell you. I got your point. You can define a data for AMI. You don't have to mention a region name here. You need to just make filters, not the name. So you can
Yeah.
point to any region. Right now it is US East 1. Let's say I want to switch to Mumbai or Singapore. This code will not change. So it will
Hmm.
fetch AMI IDs, applying filters. If it returns multiple IDs, we are saying use most recent. Let's say it is giving 10 IDs. It use the recent one. I mean the latest one. Yeah, this is good.
If we don't want the recent one, if we want the previous one, means then where we should mention.
Again, you had to selectively pick that one, right?
I didn't get it.
No, that is not possible. That you need to customize then. Then it is better to have AMI IDs as variables, and you put
Okay.
what ID you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we define this data .tf AMI ID for the production and see if it is in different workspace, if they want to give their AMI IDs, then is it possible?
See, simple. It it is not like, see, if you me working in same project, will there be separate AMI ID for you and for me, or is it going to be same for both?
Yeah, same I think.
Correct. Same.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there is something different for environments like dev, state, prod, just before I explained workspaces, and have TF-vars, dev TF-vars containing dev AMI ID, prod TF-vars containing prod AMI ID.
Oh, okay. There we need to hard code it.
Yeah, there you had to specify it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And
okay, okay. Fine, sir.
before closing, is there any topic you are interested in which we can conduct that as a seminar in next weeks? Any recommendations?
In Terraform, sir.
No, not
Sir,
just
Hello.
sorry, sir.
today it is Terraform. Next week it is GitLab, right? Likewise, is there any
Okay.
topic you wanna suggest us so that we can, uh, I mean, conduct that in the seminar?
Yeah, sir.
AWS DevOps tools, sir.
What is that?
Sir, like we have sessions for Azure as well, sir.
Sorry, I missed it. One by
Do
one.
we have Jenkins pipelines as well?
Jenkins pipelines, huh?
Not Jenkins pipelines, Azure YAML pipelines.
Oh, okay. Let me uh, get that into a seminar. I can do that. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also
because
AWS also, sir. AWS build, AWS code build, and AWS code pipeline.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? I will make these points in upcoming session. Definitely, we can have those things.
Sir, I suggest like mainly nowadays many people are focusing on the Kubernetes concepts only, sir. If you do a bit in that, it will be helpful.
And mainly on the charts. Can you make on the in charts?
Sorry, come again. Helm chart.
Can you make it in charts? Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Definitely. And my request for all of you is, uh, so in future, anybody want to learn courses, right? Refer us. That's the help for
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
you. Yeah, the free seminars will be conducted regularly, no doubt about it. And keep watching our Instagram page for updates, and also uh, Jahum website for updates. And I thank you again, all of you, for your time. Uh, and bye for now. We'll meet again next
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
like
Thank you for
query
the
for
good
Thank you so much.
Sir, this
Thank you.
record will be posted right in group, sir.
I will post in group. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
sir,
Appreciate
sir,
that.
like I have one query regarding Terraform.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in my project, like as we discussed, we have three environments like dev, stage, and prod. So we have dev.tfvars, stage.tfvars, and prod.tfvars.
Correct.
Apart from this, we have variables.tfvars as well.
Variables is to define a variable. Okay. See, two things here.
But like is okay, but we have variables.tf and variables.tfvars.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. If you see here, we are defining variables, right? One part
Yes.
is defining variables. The other part is giving inputs to these variables. So .tfvars is to provide inputs. Variables.tf is
Okay.
to define a variable. .tfvars is to pass inputs to this variable. Two things. One is
Okay, sir.
defining a variable. TFVars file contains inputs to this variable.
Okay, inputs to the variables.tf file again.
No. Extension is TFVars. Okay, see.
Yes.
Can be variables.tfvars, myname.tfvars, yourname.tfvars. That's different. The extension is important. Just quick check I can show you.
Okay, sir.
Terraform.
But sir, like then in this case, what will be the key role of dev.tfvars? Let's say if we are working on dev environment, then it will pick the variables from dev.tfvars, right?
I'll tell that. See, I'm sorry. I wanna open
Actually,
HashiCorp. See this one. This is defining a variable, right?
sir, we can't see your screen actually. It is black.
Is it? I'm already sharing.
The screen is not showing.
Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, the first one is defining variable. Okay. We're defining a variable, and TFVars mainly see input variable. That comes in TFVars. See this extension is important. Any file having this extension, right? It will contain values that should go to the variable. And we have VPC, let's assume. Development, I want different CIDR block. Staging, I want different CIDR block. Production, I want different CIDR block. Where I put these three CIDR blocks. Dev.tfvars contains CIDR block for dev. Test.tfvars contains CIDR block for test. Prod.tfvars contains the CIDR block for production.
Okay, sir, got it.
Sir, in versions.tf, what kind of versions we need to provide there, sir? And how we know which versions we need to give there?
We are going beyond our seminar topics.
Okay.
We can discuss that next time. Yeah.
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 Others
Thank
Is
you,
there
sir.
any video on this in our channel?
No. I will post it in future.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.